Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a crazy combo pour on this 20 by 24 inch Artist Loft number 3 canvas. Let's go. So I'm going to be using ready to pour paints today. Generally speaking, that's the deep magenta by Artist Loft. Here's their copper. Just plain old orange. And they call this magenta, but it looks more like crimson to me. And then I'm going to be using soft body black for my black paints today. Now I'm going to be doing a swipe towards the end. The swipe paint will be mixed with Australian Floetrol, about 2 parts Floetrol, 1 part paint. The rest of my paints will be mixed up about 2.5 parts Floetrol, 1 part paint. So I'm going to be using a split cup today. I'm going to get that loaded up in a second here. And then I'm going to be wrecking it. I'm going to do a ring pour, and then I'm going to wreck it with this homemade crazy contraption I made just a minute ago. Basically taped a bunch of paintbrushes together. So I got my homemade split cup here. I'm going to get this loaded up for you. The number one thing, make sure you got it centered. Make sure you got it pressed in there good. And then alternate colors, but try to avoid having opposite colors directly across or on top of each other if possible, because if you do that you can end up with a bit of brown. So I try to separate the colors if there's going to be an issue with black. Alrighty, I'm going to speed things up here a little bit so the video doesn't get too long for y'all to stay focused. We'll get this cup filled up, listen to some tunes. I'll get back to you in a sec. Alright, so I got my cup filled to the brim. Gonna pull the divider out nice and slow. Wipe off the excess and set it aside for now. And I'm gonna prep my canvas. Okay, I got my paint mixed up. The Artist Loft Soft Body and American Floetrol. Just gonna get this canvas covered up real quick. Make sure I got the edges and corners real good. And I'm going to speed this up. We'll listen to some tunes. I'll get back to you in just a minute. Alrighty, I'm ready to do my ring pour. Just gonna give this canvas a little spin. Get my cup steady as possible. Try to ignore the rotation to a certain degree. And I'm gonna start towards the outside and then pour inwards and end in the center. And hopefully I will be ending with some red. That's the plan. That's why I started with red. When I loaded my paint cup, my split cup, put red and black. That's what I should end up with ending on the center of this canvas. That's the plan anyway. Okay, so I got to the center here and I realized I have quite a bit of paint left. So I'm gonna respin it and do it again, add more paint to the canvas strategically and redo my center again. So a lot of the outside is going to be poured off the canvas anyway, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm just working my way into the inside, make sure I have enough paint left to do this, but yet I want plenty of paint because I want to dump a bunch off. So here we go. Now we're going to try to get the center looking nice and pretty. Here we go. No, I wasn't happy with that. I got a little drip, so I'm just gonna start in the center, back out like an inch, and then go back towards center and try that again. All right, so here's my wrecking tool. Like I said, it's just 5 paintbrushes taped together, and I'm wrecking it with the tail end of the paintbrushes. So I'm going with the triangular pattern on this. It'll be more evident when I do the swipe. Okay, I think that's sufficiently wrecked. Now it's time to do my swipe. So this is the same black paint as the background, other than it's mixed with Australian Floetrol instead of American. So I'm kind of letting that flow to the edges of the palette knife. Trying to be careful not to drip it on the painting, but I want you to see it. And there we go. Now you can see the triangular pattern I was referring to earlier. And once these cells pop through where the swipe is, I'm kind of waiting to see what's happening here. Hitting it with the torch, trying to make them pop out before I do anything else. But I am going to wreck the swipes, just like Molly did on Molly's Artistry. If you haven't checked out her page, you got to do it. I'm sure you have by now. But I learned some cool stuff from her. So I'm seeing what kind of action we're getting on the cells. It's looking pretty good. I'm just thinking to myself which direction I want to swipe through, or wreck these swipes, I should say. I don't want to get too carried away with the wreckage. Alrighty, so I'm ready to tip the canvas, stretch the image out. I want to maintain the center, the bright red area, which was the center of the ring pour. I want to end up having that in the center, so I don't want to pour that off the edge, obviously. So I'm going to keep going back and forth, and before I go left to right, I'm going to make sure that the center of my ring pour is back in the center of my canvas. I'm going to get it back in the center before I go this direction. Alright, so I hit fast forward through this part because it gets pretty long. It takes a while to tip this stuff off the canvas. As I'm doing this, I'm paying attention to the spatial composition, the color segments, the shapes, etc., so that I end up with my greatest desired effects possible. Also, I think that the image is really improving as it's being stretched. You'll see it ends up looking pretty good. I will zoom in for a nice super close-up on it. So thanks for hanging out, and I'll talk to you in just a sec. Alright, so I'm just finishing up here with the torch, popping all the air bubbles. I'll be zooming in just a couple seconds here. I think you're really going to like it. It's pretty impressive up close. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. As always, really appreciate it. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if you haven't. Here's the close-up. There's one far lower right corner. There's crazy stuff. It looks like worms and octopus. I don't know. It's something else. There's no silicone in this. It's just the Australian Floetrol and the swipe. But there's no silicone or Aussie Floetrol in the center or anything like that. Just in the swiped areas. Hope you guys like this. I think it's pretty awesome. And thanks again to Molly for giving me the idea to try this. I think I'm going to title this one Can of Worms. Here we go. There's just a still shot of it. The copper's real nice when you see it in person. It lights up. Here's a couple singles. I want to thank the Surf Zombies again for providing the background music. Couldn't do it without them. Love those guys. Check them out sometime. And I hope you guys have a great weekend. I will see you next week.